Hello everyone. It is 12 o'clock and we are getting ready to start our webinar. My name is Tony Blunt. I am my Future NC's Regional Impact Manager for the Southeast region. Welcome to my Future NC's bite-sized webinar series. Today's session is Let's Make Sure the Class of 2024 doesn't miss out on funding, FAFSA and financial aid resources. During the webinar, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Please note that we don't have a formal Q&A segment during this 20-minute webinar, but our team will reach out if there are any outstanding questions in the chat. So one of the data products My Future NC provides is our new 2024 attainment profiles. You can scan the QR code or use the link in the chat to go to our county data and resource page for the latest 2024 profiles. There you will see the county profiles, a two-pager for each of the 100 counties in North Carolina with local performance from pre-K to 12th grade, college access, and workforce alignment data. In addition, for the first time this year, we have developed a set of supplemental profiles in response to community needs. So today, our focus is on the FAFSA completions, the free application for federal student aid. And this data point is located on the slide. This is in the college and career access section on the back page of the profile. The state's performance is shown here on the slide. You can find your county or your region's performance on the profile page specific to your county. In the 2022-23 FAFSA cycle for North Carolina, 62% of graduating high school seniors completed the free application for federal student aid. I also want to draw your attention to the related data points in that same section of the profile. You can examine the intentions to enroll, which is student self-reported data, and compare it to the actual enrollment, and then look at it from the lens of parents with no college degree. Furthermore, you can refer to the chart on the right, which shows the post-secondary enrollment rates by demographic group. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this discussion today with North Carolina's expert in financial aid and FAFSA. Kathy Hastings from the North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority will give us a high-level view of the FAFSA changes and current updates. Then we'll hear from school counselor Irma Bannerman from Duplin County Schools on the counselor perspective, challenges that students and families have faced this year with access to financial aid, and examples of outreach provided by the Duplin County team. But first, let me turn it over to you, Kathy.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks to everyone who's joining us today. First, let me just acknowledge, I think everyone who is anywhere close to a FAFSA or helping students with FAFSA knows that this has been a challenging year, to say the least. And unfortunately, we continue to see some challenges. Many of you may know that the FAFSAs, many of the FAFSAs are going to need to be reprocessed, but we still need to keep our eye on the prize. So we need to keep focused on helping students across that finish line. So if we can go to the next slide, I just wanted to start by sharing a little bit with the, where we're at and kind of what the situation looks like. Now, these are national numbers. North Carolina follows a similar trajectory in that we knew it was going to be a challenging year going into the year because we knew we were getting 3 fewer months to help students with FAFSA completion, and no surprise, it is turning out to be the case. Years ago, when FSA had moved FAFSA season up from January 1st to October 1st, we saw over 3 additional percentage points in completion during that year and have remained higher ever since then. So we knew this year was going to be a challenge, not only in just getting started late, but then having to put in that extra work to try and catch up so that we don't lose ground. So as you can see, 3 months we're missing those completions. On the next slide, we show kind of a trajectory line, like a desired line versus a trajectory line. And again, these are national numbers, but North Carolina is similar. In order to catch up, we need to be accelerating the number of students who are completing a FAFSA. And we know all of you are working really, really hard while juggling all of the other things that you're doing. And yet our completions are starting to level off. So at the current rate, we are not likely to catch up with last year. Last year, as Tony said, we finished around 62%. Which was a great FAFSA year. And right now it's looking like we're going to fall behind. If we go to the next slide, you'll get a sense of why this is so concerning and why all of us are here talking about this today. FAFSA is kind of the canary in the coal mine. You know, if FAFSAs are up, enrollments tend to be up. If FAFSAs are down, enrollments tend to be down. And the reason for that is cost is the biggest barrier to attending college. When we did research last summer with students and their families, it was the thing we heard loud and clear. So much so that students in particular and families are very worried about student debt. So completing a FAFSA is their best way to reduce or help make the cost of paying for college more manageable. And so what we see is if FAFSA is up, enrollments tend to be up. And even though we've heard from our university partners that, you know, many of them are having good years in terms of applications and acceptances, but we also know that there's this thing called summer melt, which means a student applies to college, they get accepted, they may even enroll, but then don't show up in the fall. And this is often the reason why, when they start to look at the money and they start to look at their financial situation, and they start to get concerned that they are not going to be able to afford college. So we saw some recent examples of this with the pandemic. A lot of students put their plans on hold. This year, the intention is for students to go to college, but the FAFSA has proved challenging. And right now, as of, this was a couple of weeks ago, we were down 28%. We now finally have completion numbers. Our completion rate is 27.7. So a little more than 1 in 4 of high school seniors have completed a FAFSA. On the completion side, we're down 37%, which is a painful number to be seeing. We have about 17,000 completed FAFSAs so far this year. And, you know, this is go time. Now is the time where we need to be reaching out to every student who hasn't completed a FAFSA to make sure that they have the help they need. Now, we do have 2 tools here in North Carolina that your folks can use. We have the NC FAFSA tracker, which is on the CFNC website. If you Google NC FAFSA tracker, it'll come up. That lets you see by school and by district, how are we doing in completions and submissions this year versus last year, so you can see which of your schools might need more help. Maybe they need more volunteers to get in there and work with students. We also have a Finish the FAFSA tool that is part of CFNC's Pro Tools. That is a restricted access tool, but school counselors at your local high schools can see specifically which students need extra assistance, if there's error codes that they're going to need to correct. We just got the notification this morning from FSA that students can now go in and correct those errors on their FAFSA. So that's great. We've been pushing for that. So each day we continue to make a little bit of progress, but we have a lot of ground to gain in another month and a half. So grateful you're all on the call today to help us make sure that every student has that extra help they need. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Tony.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for your insight and for being North Carolina's go-to agency for the latest training and resources for all of our practitioners out at the school level, but also connecting us as a state, giving us hope and keeping the momentum going for this FAFSA year. So I look forward to listening to the NCSEAA webinar today at 1 o'clock, which will help us dig in a little bit deeper into the final push for FAFSA completion. So I hope to see you all there as well. So now we're going to take a moment and turn the webinar over to Irma Bannerman, who will share from the school counselor perspective. Irma, it's all yours.
Hello, everybody. As Ms. Blunt said, my name is Irma Bannerman, and I serve as a school counselor currently at Wallace Rose Hill High School in Teachie, North Carolina. I'm happy to be here and just to share a few things about best practices that we have been implementing within our county. Um, and then just to kind of talk, going based upon what Miss Kathy was saying, we understand the barriers that's associated. We work with them every day. Working in a high school, we see firsthand the barriers that students face, that families face. So we try to kind of develop these strategies and implement these strategies to best work with our students, to work with our families and our parents to make sure that they're understanding what we do have, that what we can implement. So a few things that we do have to implement to work toward students completing those FAFSAs and getting those enrolled and everything like that. A few of the strategies that we have is advertisement. So I was able to, all of these practices that are listed, I was able to compile a list of all of our high schools within Duplin County. These are some of the strategies and practices that they implement with theirs, in addition to what we do here as well. So to kind of go a little bit more in depth, advertisement, that includes announcements, flyers, connect ed messages sent to families and students. Um, and we think that this doesn't go a long way, but in the long run, we try to make it as visible as as to the students that we can. We do understand that visibility, if they see something about FAFSA, maybe some questions are raised and they're like, oh, what is FAFSA? Let me go talk to my college advisor. Let me go talk to my counselor. Let me ask these questions. And we hear that all the time. Like they come to my office and they're like, I heard something about a FAFSA, about financial aid. How can I get more information? I'm like, come on, sit down. Let's talk about it. So I think that's very important when they're able to hear it, to see it, and be able, we can work with them to make sure everything's enacted. So a next one that we do is our FAFSA nights and informational sessions, and that kind of goes into our daytime informational sessions. So having those FAFSA nights, collaborating with CFNC has been very helpful, local community college, financial aid based programs. Just to be able to have that collective effort to provide the assistance and the support for our students. We recently just had a parent night here that we were able to bring in James Sprunt Community College, and they were able to help our students fill out their FAFSAs. So that's a great way where parents can ask those firsthand questions, any concerns that maybe arise that, they don't know about the process, that we have individuals there and in place to help them. So that's something that's been very helpful. In regards to the daytime informational session visits, we've had community colleges come out, support teams come out during the day, and just tabling during lunch. Students will have to go to lunch during the day. So having to have that visibility and seeing that, okay, I can ask this person questions and be able to gain some more information. It's very helpful when they come throughout the day. I know we recently had a individual come from a college and from their financial aid team, and they were able to give a presentation during lunch. So we had lunch A, lunch B. They were able to kind of tit for tat for that and have students come in groups and pull out their Chromebooks and work with them. So it's very helpful, and we were able to do that. One-on-one meetings with our students and our parents. This is very, very, very helpful. In collaboration with all of these efforts, college advisors have been a definite help. And it's been a very, very easy process as far as the collaboration efforts, because they're able to bring that firsthand knowledge and collaboration and enact those. So the college advisors have been meeting with one-on-one with our students and our parents, making those phone calls, because a phone call goes a long way. We think it doesn't, but it does go a long way. And just being able to provide that information. And they have a list that they have to also as well. We are partnered with the NC State College Advising Corps. So with them, they are able to go through each senior, understand the goals associated with each senior and what they want to do after high school. And we collaborate as a support team and understand the ways that we can meet with those students. Like, okay, you're wanting to go to college, you're wanting to go to a 4-year, we've got to get you on track for your FAFSA. So let's sit down and have a conversation about it. So that's another practice. Another practice I know with our Duplin County Early College High School, they have a senior seminar class, and within that class is embedded assignments that they have to complete. And a part of that assignment is the FAFSA completion as an assignment listed in the class, completing their RDS, completing those college and career related activities. So it's a requirement for them that they would have to complete that. So that's another strategy that's being used within our county. And lastly, classroom presentations. I think this is very, very profound. This is a great way that you can get students collectively, big groups at one time, and you're able to go in and answer those questions and guide students through that process in that modality as well. So that's a great way that we're able to talk to them about filling out their FAFSA, interpreting award letters, financial aid options, and the list can go on. So we understand, as we mentioned, the barriers associated, but there are things that we can do. I feel like to at least, take it a step at a time to work toward fulfilling those goals. And we understand there may be situations where not all students can fill out the FAFSA, and that's where we can come in and we can say like, okay, let's see what else we can do. What are some scholarships that are available? What are some different pathways that we can take to make sure that you're supported in the best way? So this is, I think that's all I have as of right now, and I'm looking forward to maybe seeing what you all can share as well. So I thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irma, for your work as a school counselor in Duplin County Schools, but also a champion in your community for the help that you give to students and parents. The work of the school counselor is imperative to the college and career planning and access processes. So we thank you for wearing many hats and for being that champion. And thank you also for lifting up the work of the College Foundation of North Carolina regional reps. I put the link in the chat to that website, which has contact information. So if you all are not yet coordinating with them on particular outreach events or using their many services and resources, I encourage you to do so. So FAFSA completion is one of the 18 key performance indicators that My Future NC tracks. Completing the FAFSA form for eligible students is crucial for educational attainment as it unlocks financial aid in the form of federal grants and the next NC scholarship, and perhaps other scholarships through the institutions that students are applying. And this is making higher education accessible and affordable. This can empower students to pursue their academic goals without that fear of overwhelming debt. So we thank you so much for joining us today. You won't want to miss our next bite-sized webinar next week, April 24th, with the focus on NC Pre-K. Please stay connected by joining our newsletter and reaching out to us anytime. Again, thanks for joining us and have a wonderful afternoon.